welcome, Wilma. I don't know if you want to give any further introduction, Peter.
No, I'm just absolutely delighted that Wilma has now complemented our other head of service. So Karim and Wilma both on board. And as I was saying to members before, Wilma's been here since Monday, but I think she's already beginning to recognise the enormity of what she's taken on. So I'm very, very happy to have you here. Welcome.
Okay, so we move on to the first item on the agenda, which is apologies for absence.
I think we should you just remind that everybody is being recorded just so that we remember that we have to be programmed.
Indeed, I think you've done that for us. But,
point of order on a point of order. Unfortunately, Councillor Strawn didn't turn his microphone on, so no one heard that.
Yeah, so a reminder to everyone, this meeting is being recorded and live streamed, so please be careful with what you say and not mention identifiable people where not appropriate. So apologies for absence. I have apologies from Councillor Bond and Councillor Fage. That's Grant Fage. Any other apologies? No. Okay. Any declarations of interest? Disclosable pecuniary interests or non-pecuniary interests in any agenda item? No. Oh, sorry.
In case it comes up later, I guess I should say I'm an allotment holder.
Okay. Noted, thank you. Yes.
It just occurs to me, because we haven't discussed it for some time. I mean, we're discussing tonight later on items that may feed into the budget, and we usually have a general dispensation so that we don't have to declare an interest, because we would all have an interest in that. So I don't know whether we can sort that out in time for the next budget discussion and make sure that the general dispensation is still in place.
Okay, I'll ask the clerk to check that. Thank you. Okay, so moving on to public open session. I don't think we've got any members of the public sat behind me. So we'll move on again to the minutes. Oh, sorry, no, item number 4, members' questions. Councillor Knight.
Thanks. Can the chairman explain why it's in the public interest for the main agenda item of this meeting to be exempt? As to my mind, it's the exact opposite. It would be in the public interest to discuss and take any formal decisions relating to this subject matter in a public meeting.
Okay, well, I can't explain why it is in the public interest. I'm not sure. I believe it is in the public interest that it's an exempt. So I guess I'll ask the clerk if he has.
I do have a view on this. Yeah. So this is an ideas paper. It has a range of potential opportunities for the council to consider. Some of these issues are contentious, and in my view, they are going down roads which members may not necessarily go down and would inflame a debate even in the community. So I took a view that it was best discussed as an exempt item, and that's what I think is the right thing to do in these circumstances. I won't give an example now, but I will give an example later. I think it's very opportune to have a more public conversation when members have given us some clarity about those very real ideas that they're happy about, rather than some of the more diverse and obscure ideas that might just inflame the community.
Councillor North.
Just one point I would make. I think I would suggest that as presented, it should be exempt, because there are a lot of numbers mentioned about what sort of figures we are expecting to get out of various initiatives, and they are commercially sensitive, aren't they? It could have been presented without the numbers, and maybe that should be non-exempt, but I think the numbers are relevant to the discussion on it anyway. I would suggest.
I'm happy to respond. The numbers in themselves aren't exempt. The ideas, I think, in some senses are controversial. And this is a Rio paper and would add no value without numbers. So the numbers need to be there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Councillor Knight.
If I may come back then. So I'm not in agreement with the answer. I do not think we should have an exempt meeting that has decision-making powers relating to the cost of public services without public scrutiny or participation. So I would like to ask that the chairman calls a vote before any resolution to move to exempt is passed. If that vote was to choose a public meeting, I would propose we adjourn the formal part of that of this meeting, as the public haven't had the opportunity to see the documents that are marked exempt. We might then have an informal meeting without decision-making powers instead, which I would be much more comfortable with.
Councillor Russell?
I was going to say that I thought it might have been more appropriate to have an informal meeting of all councillors with an ideas paper like this, and that it shouldn't have come to a special Finance and General Purposes Committee. But now we're here, I fully agree with the clerk.
Okay. Well, Councillor Strong.
Sorry, I think that this is very much an ideas issue at the moment. And we need actual decisions, as I understand it tonight. Need to go into be fed into the budgeting process. Perhaps it's not quite the right forum, and it could be dealt with in an informal basis outside of the council meetings. We've had discussions in the past, but it is, I think, hairs running unnecessarily, because there's things in there that we've not been consulted on as members to date. I certainly, I'm afraid, disagree with various elements of it, and I think that it's the wrong time to have this as a public discussion. Yes, in due course we must have, and I'd fully support that, but not today.
Mr. Clark.
Okay. This is, I'm going to say it again, this is an options paper. To my knowledge, and please put me right, I don't believe this council has ever done a RIA. Most councils do a RIA. And these are quite contentious matters. Yeah. This is not a surprise that this paper is coming to F&GP. We agreed it some while ago as being the process to consider this. So I don't think there's any surprises there. But it may be that we could have shared it more widely within members. But this is not a member paper in that sense. It's a set of ideas and opportunities that we may want to consider. But I'll talk some more detail in a minute.
Okay. Any more members' questions? So we'll move on to the minutes and recommendations of meetings. So the members to receive and approve the minutes of the F&GP meeting from the 7th of September 2021. So I'll start first on page 4 of our papers. Page 5, page 6, page 7. Okay. Is everyone happy that these are to record and happy to adopt those minutes? Thank you. To move on to matters arising. And then that is on page 4. Matters arising from page 5, page 6. Councillor Strawn.
Yes, item C on page 6, the asset register, the actions that are referred to, what progress has been made with regard to those to date.
Thank you. So Sean and I have been discussing the assets database, and we have pulled together a project plan, if you like, with a view to scope all the specific requirements that pick up on the actions which are coming out from this, and then relaunching them with a view to going out to kind of essentially market and approaching some suitably qualified subject matter experts, chartered surveyors, etc. So we then, we may then be able to come back as soon as possible with some improved outputs and outcome on the data on, with all the opportunities we've been talking through about that.
It's a big task.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. We're on page 6, I think. Any more on page 6? Page 7. Okay, so move on then to, well, there's no items for consideration or information. No members of the public have arrived. So we move on to item 10. Do we have a proposal to move to the exempt session? All those in favour? Against? Okay, we move to exempt then. That's a recorded vote on that. So